primeval water named Apsu the Begetter, and Tiamat, the dragon of the deep, the salt sea. Listen, how Brahma, the eternal and undecaying, without beginning and without end, repeatedly creates and destroys, creates and destroys, creates.
us and Rick Wagner and I formed an organization called Concerts in the Country, which was the child of a group called Moving Works, which started in the city, but now we're in the country, and we enjoy using the outdoor environment and the challenges that the outdoors pose for us.
Concerts in the Country is an organization that has meant a lot to me for these many years. It's a way of both experiencing the environment and also sharing the environment. It's a way of fusing the old stories with some new hopes and some new visions. We always enjoyed the process of creating a performance and the sharing of it with an audience.
We've been working together, Rick and I, for probably about 35 years. We started in the city as a multimedia organization and decided we'd like to move up to the country, and then we became Concerts in the Country.
It's a sharing of or it's being inspired by the location, by the site, and as we began doing work, we became inspired by the stories that come out of the site.
And then using the material to write original scripts and perform in our multimedia fashion. I've always been interested in creation myths and decided to write a piece about it, using myths from around the world, including science as part of our mythology.
That piece, Creations, was the first piece done at this pond site also, and I had driven around to different pond sites and decided that this would make a good location, and just knocked on the door of the people who lived in this house. Turned out that they were very interested in the arts and very supportive of doing experimental projects, and so we sat down for a dinner, and that was all it took to get permission for years and years of work on this site. After the Flood actually started with a piece that Marianne had done years earlier called Before the Flood. It was inspired by the fact that a beautiful stream valley was going to be flooded. It was a valley with farms and history and meant a lot to the folks around here. And Marianne had the idea that she would do a commemoration of it.
So over a several-year period, that farm valley was flooded. We did oral histories of the people that had lived along there, and then we created another commemorative piece called After the Flood, because now there was a lake in the place of the farms.
European to set foot on pre-Maryland, 1608.
We ascended a high mountain, standing alone in the midst of a vast stretch of country, called because of its form, Sugar Land.
Richard Montgomery, namesake of Montgomery County, though he never set foot in it, killed in the heights of Quebec before the American Revolution, 1775.
Home in the Country, that was one of my favorite pieces. It's the story of land, the story of its exploration, its divvying up, and the farming of it. The farms allowed us to use animal masks and a surreal approach to the history, which also allows us to use the real sounds and the strange instruments that we like to make. It's a mixture of art and history.
We ascended a high mountain, standing alone in the midst of a vast stretch of countryside. The form reminds me of a sugar loaf.
The place is without question the most healthful and pleasant place in all the country for habitation. The air temperate in summer and not violent in winter. It aboundeth in all manner of fish, and as for deer, buffalo, bear, turkeys, the woods do swarm with them. And the soil is exceedingly fertile.
Together, they drew up the first map of Montgomery County, the first county in Maryland to be named after an American hero rather than British royalty.
The story
Is the story of land.
Sugarland.
Tunnel wreck. Howard Crowell spent 4 solid days in that tunnel. 27 freight cars filled with apples, parachutes, and eggs.
Magical History Tour is not one piece, but a collection of pieces, each celebrating a small town in the upper Montgomery County or Frederick County area.
We spent time with people in these various towns like Barnesville, Bellsville, Brunswick, Hyattstown, and the pieces that you're going to see are stories of those people. As Concerts in the Country goes, fast forward to the past.
This farm here
Antietam, the bloodiest day of the Civil War, 25,000 died.
Can I give a wounded soldier a drink of water?
Yes, ma'am.
Drink of water for a wounded soldier.
No, ma'am. I'm dead.
One of these tunnels, there's a place in that track when you go around the curve, when you go you feel like the train's going to go off the track, you know. When we got into Washington, he was in there a couple minutes ahead.
Right here at this very spot in Boyd's, there was a bad wreck in 1986. As brand new Cadillacs spilled out all over the tracks, the locomotive woke up Bud and Rachie Gwynn as it came to rest in their bedroom. They got up, walked over the locomotive to the street without a scratch.
Montgomery County is just outside Washington, D.C., and has become very diverse. And we have now extended our welcome to the artists from all over the world in a program called The World in Montgomery County. Stonestreet was a 19th century country doctor with a little country office, and it made me decide to write a story about 19th century medicine. So we made a piece about that, including his office and including the Civil War and all the events that happened around his life.
What I liked about that was it was a history of medicine in microcosm. We saw from the beginning of medicine up to the projection of the future, all centered around Dr. Stonestreet and his life.
Welcome, one and all, great and small, to the actual office of Dr. Edward Elisha Stonestreet, where he practiced medicine from 1852 to 1903. More than 50 years, that's half a century, a period when medicine made more progress than in the previous 5 centuries. That's 500 years. From the age of so-called heroic medicine to the golden age of microbiology.
I am Edward Elisha Stonestreet, MD. I am a local physician here in Rockville. Been a physician here for 51 years. And I have learned from those years that the health of Rockville and the health of our community is not just in the health of its individuals, but in the health of all of us together. Rockville has been good to me, and I have tried to give back to Rockville to help not only the health of the individuals, but the health of the community.
Dr. Stonestreet would see patients during his office hours right here at 8 to 10 in the morning, 4 to 6 in the afternoon. The rest of the day, and often late into the night, he would make house calls. Hungry leeches were also placed on the body to drink the overabundant blood. Quick amputation of limbs was the most common operation. Antisepsis was unknown. Surgeons operated without washing their hands or surgical instruments. They seldom employed anesthetics, relying instead on a hit over the head, a shot of strong liquor, or just the surgical shock of battle to numb the pain. Not surprisingly, the surgeons were nicknamed sawbones and butchers. The wounded often drew their guns in fear on the approaching footsteps.
Concerts in the country is not just outdoor pieces, it's also the indoor environments that are important to the countryside. Mill motion music takes place in a 19th century grain thrashing mill. The entire space is turned into a music instrument and a performance space for dancers. Art Farm as starting as something we called WOW Festival. We're out at Wildcat Spring Farms. We invited the artists in different media to create works that would be in the spirit of the farm. At the end of the festival, the farmers said, Montgomery County has a farm tour. Why don't you leave the stuff up and people can see it when they come along to the farm tour?
Now we've been running the art farm for about 19 years. And we've introduced many artists to the area who like to do site-specific work, and it's not just music, it's dance, it's installations, it's poetry, it's storytelling, and every year we have new people and also new audiences.
One of the things we like about Art Farm is that the audience is not necessarily coming expecting art. So when they arrive, they often have the feeling of exploration just as we do when we first see a new environment.
Nikki, come up here.
Dexter.
Like a snake up in the tree.
If the earth could run away from here, if the earth could run away from here, swollen lip, twisted foot, broken back supporting too much life, broken back supporting civil strife, broken back always supporting without thanks as tanks and tractors roll on, crushing all in their wake. And she just takes and takes. Words can be too painful sometimes. If the earth could run away from here, if the earth could run away from here.
This stiff-neck garlic that it's sent its seed head up.
I can smell the garlic, and
there's
there is the garlic.
Seed garlic hanging from the rafters. And then on the walls are the artwork that I did of the garlic. There are 15 of these pieces of printmaker's paper with cyanotype coated on it. And I developed these out in my bathtub at home after making the impression on the paper.
I went to my physician, had a problem with my eye. He knew the name of my condition, but he could not tell me why. I got a sty in my eye and I don't know why. I don't know why. I got a sty in my eye and I don't know why. It doesn't know whether to stay or go. Medical science is really quite content, not knowing the reason for my eyes reddish tint. I got a sty in my eye and I don't know why. I don't know why either. I got a sty in my eye and I don't know why. It doesn't know whether to stay or go. Medical science is really quite content, not knowing the reason for my eyes reddish. 1, 2, 3, I got a sty in my eye and I don't know why. I don't know why either. I got a sty in my eye and I don't know why. It doesn't know whether to stay or go.
Put it back, just put it back in. Come on.
hands. I don't care who's got deep and I don't care who's on food. I don't care who's got pimples or a babble song. If you think just a little who's in mine, I don't care as long as you're kind. I don't care who's stupid or who's when deserved. I don't care who's a beggar or who's been ducking for indifferent like eating nature. And that's no skin off me. Whatever nomenclature or your pedigree, your persuasion's of no consequence to me. I don't care, just be kind and be sweet. Here we go, here we go. It's a pleasure to be in your company, 'cause you're kind and it's good enough for me.
My name is Uncle Unkaloo. Concerts in the country has been very important to me because it celebrates art that comes from people, community, and place. Each village, each town, each person with their own stories, myths, and works. Our culture is what we share with each other. Centralized production and distribution of art, music, and culture, that could never work.